Well, hello, and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff. I'm one of the two hosts. The other is the handsome gentleman staring into the camera, Mike. A little bit about us. We're both born after World War II, but before Vietnam. I am 70, going to be 71, and I'm still working, which is something I'm trying to end now. This year will be the last few months of my work experience, but I am still gainfully employed. Mike, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
I'm gainfully unemployed, although struggling to keep my finger in the job market because I really suck at retirement. I'm 75. I'll be 76 in February. Been basically a serial entrepreneur my whole career in the fashion industry, home furnishings, automotive, and still staying somewhat involved in all of those. So,
yeah, you're a true entrepreneur.
Hopefully.
I mean, you were. I mean, really. I mean, you went where the money was.
Yeah. Followed markets, and it's been an interesting ride, but and one we're still actively involved in. I just don't want to be one of the guys in knee-length Bermuda shorts and knee-high black socks and Birkenstocks, walking with a cane through Costco. So,
yeah. Well, but I mean, the difference between you and I chose a career and stuck with one career and did it for a couple of different corporations, but basically, and they were alike, the corporations, but I never followed the money, so to speak. I never invested in anything. I just sort of, stuck my nose to the grindstone in media in which I worked in, and just, that's all I ever did. Yeah. This will come up again when we have our conversation in a few minutes about FOGO.
Yeah.
Which I'll tease right now to our audience. FOGO is coming up, and I do want to talk about that because it's part of it, or the discussion. This podcast, as I've said before, is for active, cool as hell 60-plus-year-old folks. If you're of the I'm falling down and can't get up school of aging, then this podcast probably isn't for you. Every week, Mike and I give you the information, the scuttlebutt, and the news story you need to know as you head into the weekend. This is not headline news. You can get that stuff anywhere. This is the kind of material that will make you sound smart when you meet your friends for coffee, at golf, at the gym, or, of course, at happy hour.
Happy hour.
Plus, you can email us with your questions, comments, or stories that you want to share with us. The email is listed below there. It is oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. So let's get right into this week's must talk about subjects. And of course, the first one for you and I always, and will be until it goes off the air. Oh, and I have to, at the end of this, I'll give you a little nugget of something I read, a little interesting thing I read on Reddit, is of course the Golden Bachelor. Last week's episode was the in-studio sort of a
reunion,
get together, reunion of all the contestants, and that Gary had got down to two women by saying goodbye to Faith, which leaves Leslie and Teresa, and Faith came onto the show to confront Gary, and it was handled with class, I guess, pretty much. But she is not happy about being pushed off the show. What did you think? What was your take on it?
Well, I'm not sure where to start. I thought the individual progression through the gallery of women who had been passed over was in a horrible taste. I mean, it basically came down to who had the worst case of gas during the filming. And it was, I mean, I wanted to just leave the room. And then she came on to reunite with Gary and talk about her disappointment. And I wasn't sure what the aim of that dress was, but it seemed to be like she was giving him a chance to reassess what he had missed or passed up. Um, I don't know. I kind of cringed at the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was very strange.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on both things you brought up. One is that the choice of all their outtakes that they could have done, or the recap stuff that they could have brought back, the idea that whether the woman was gassy because of the
Meatballs.
meatballs, or it was silly and stupid, and
Yeah.
didn't do anything to help advance the cause of doing more of these. And then the other thing about her dressing like that made me think, I wonder if they had a dress code that they had enforced with the women during the course of the dating part when they were all there, because none of them dressed that outrageous. And so we noticed that when she came out on stage, and that dress was pretty low cut. But I wondered why she hadn't dressed like that before. And I think maybe they had some way of, they told them, no, you can't do that. But I don't know why. But it was.
I'm sure there was an oh wow factor they wanted to try to hit. Like when she came back out, the audience should have gasped and go, "Oh my God, how did he pass her up?" That kind of reaction. But the one thing I did notice about all the dresses, and it's just a fashion note because I've been in that business for so long, all of the monochromatic silk appearing tube dresses that the women were wearing, it looked like they must have had a giant rack in the back of the dressing room, and the same dress in about 4 different colors, either red, purple, black, or whatever. But they all seem to be wearing the same dress at one point.
Yeah.
It's just odd.
Yeah, well, not odd if you look at it as saying that ABC wanted to control what they looked like, and then want any one of them to, then maybe.
Yeah, don't wear your own outfit. Yeah.
Yeah, rather than say to them, wear whatever.
Yeah.
They wanted to control it. And the monochromatic part of it, I think, is just the television thing, is just the camera goes crazy if there's too many stripes or polka dot kind of thing. So who knows? Yeah. So the big question is, I mean, so the next thing up is that he's going to Costa Rica with Leslie and Teresa, and each of them were going to spend the night in the fantasy room. And then another episode after that is when he's going to have to make his decision. So whatever, the fantasy room is going to be the place where he makes his final decision, probably.
Yeah, I'm trying hard to imagine, and please, for our viewers or our listeners, this is not I don't want to be mean spirited here, but I'm trying hard to understand what a fantasy room with Teresa would be like. I kind of get the other gal. Yeah. She's pretty cool, but I'm missing Teresa.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. She's Leslie is a fitness instructor who's 64 years old from Minneapolis. She's obviously younger, fitter, and just, I don't know, she just feels overly younger. And where Teresa feels matronly and a little grandmom about her. So we'll see. I mean, in my opinion, if I was going to bet a buck on it or something, it's going to be that he does choose Leslie in the end. That she will fit his more active lifestyle a little better than Teresa would, but who knows?
Yeah, I hope so. The one thing, and we talked about this at dinner the other evening, the amount of let's say complementary surgery that most of the women in the gallery had undergone at one point or another, pretty much kind of was the line of demarcation for me, and the final 2 candidates. Teresa's obviously had everything done, and as opposed to the other gal who apparently has not, and looks Leslie and looks very natural and I mean age appropriate. So interesting.
So there was a lot of the things that I've been reading now are basically pushing it in Leslie's direction. We'll see. We'll see at the end. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to the fantasy room episode next week.
Yeah. I wonder why they go all the way to Costa Rica. Because
Yeah, you're right. They could do a fantasy room in anywhere in Detroit.
yeah, or in a studio setting, build a fantasy room in LA.
Anyway, so that was the Golden Bachelor. We're looking forward to the fantasy room, and we'll get back with you next week and with our reaction to that. The next thing I want to talk about is we were going to talk about today is a little bit more serious. It comes from an article that was sent to us about FOGO, which is it's short for fear of getting old.
Or older.
Yeah, it is, and this survey said that 80% of the participants in the survey had at least one fear about getting old, and those fears were: number one, a decline in physical ability, memory loss, running out of money, or concern about chronic illness. So physical ability, memory loss, running out of money, or chronic illness. And I sat and I thought to myself, to be honest, for me, I thought, what is it that I fear the most about growing old? Is it which one of those? And honestly, for me at least, there was a little bit of all four. A little bit of, am I worried a little bit about my memory? Sure.
Yeah.
So I can't remember anything. I walk into rooms and like you and I've talked about before, I'll walk into a room and not know what the hell I'm in the room for.
Yeah, what I come in here after.
And money has got to be a constant concern, just because, I want to go out to dinner. I don't want to have to run out of money and not be able to do the things I want to do. And chronic illness, I mean, who's not afraid of chronic illness? And the decline in physical ability. But that's happening. That happens daily. I don't even know what you can do about that. So I'm worried about all four in a little bit. What about you? Does anything trouble you excessively?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I clearly any one of those four, it's a domino effect. If one goes wrong, chances are it'll affect the other three.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in any order. But I was thinking about this because, we talked about this a little bit at dinner the other night. Obviously, the things we lose as we get older, we lose maybe we lose a few words. We lose our train of thought. And probably losing some friends, starting to lose some friends along the way. But in some ways, I've found getting older results in a bit more freedom. Clearly we can dress the way we want. We can basically say what we want. We have the choice to go where we want or not go if we don't want to go. So it offsets a bit, and it's I guess it's just a matter of what we hope the premise of this podcast is, and that's just to stay positive and stay young at heart and young in spirit. Yeah. I mean, I see people not as old as I am who, I swear to God, are in their 80s, the way they act and the way they move around. And, and I don't know what their life experiences have been. Maybe there's a reason for it, but to me, it's been relatively easy to try to stay active and engaged and, keep reading interesting things, hanging out with interesting people like you who can inspire me with a whole different level of experience, where you've been and what you've done in your life.
So. Well, the good news was from that article that I was reading it said one is older people tend to be happier people. I guess that's true. We see happy people, especially at the restaurant and bars. At those restaurants, they're happy. Older people tend to be healthier people. In the community in which we live, there are a lot of people are active, meaning they're involved in healthy activities, whether it's biking or pickleball or golfing or
Yeah.
whatever. There's a lot of people that want to be healthy so we're not in a community where people are not trying to be healthy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
book
and
clubs
older
and
people.
playing
I'm sorry, go
bridge,
ahead.
Well, it's just not like there aren't a lot of book clubs or bridge clubs. I mean, it seems like where we live, it's an active outdoor lifestyle.
Yeah, except
I mean,
at the community center, there is a class in which people just get together and play songs on their ukulele. So I don't know how active
no,
that is, but at least it keeps them. Well, this last thing was older people are mentally healthier, and maybe that's the ukulele playing helps them stay
maybe.
mentally healthy. So I will include I think that everyone who listens to this or sees this has their own FOGO and has to deal with it, but it's a universal thing, at least to all of us that are over 60 years old. So it's not, at least we're all in this together. Oh, and by the way, it says everybody should be exercising 150 minutes a week and sleep 7 to 9 hours a night. Now, 150 minutes a week would be basically a little over 20 minutes a day of exercise.
Yeah.
And that's just basically moving your body around for 20 to 30 minutes a day. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, breakfast to dinner, you should get that movement in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that most people that we know that are our age are getting that movement in, walking, biking, golfing, whatever, hiking.
Yeah. The sleep I thought was interesting because if I don't get or take an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hour nap in the afternoon, every afternoon, I can really tell the effect. And then I sleep like a log at night. So the extra sleep I find very helpful and rejuvenating.
Yeah. It's like if I eat lunch, the minute I put the last bite of my lunch into my mouth, my body starts going, hey, wait, aren't you supposed to be laying down somewhere? Right?
And your doctor is going, oh God, no, please get up and walk around a little bit.
Well, that's what happens to me. So when then when I get up after I lie down for a while, it's usually when I go to the gym. So that's okay. Anyway, so FOGO, that's a big deal. We're going to stay on top of this, and we'll be talking about it at other points. The next thing, we're a little bit more goofier as we move into the more funnier part of this podcast today. Is this huge home that hedge fund tycoon Ken Griffin, who is a hugely successful and wealthy hedge fund investor, is planning to build the world's most expensive home, a $1 billion mega mansion, a stone's throw away from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. Now, I don't know what your mortgage is on $1 billion home, but it's not going to be cheap.
Well,
unless he takes cash for it,
and he will. I want to be that contractor.
Oh.
Can you imagine negotiating with a guy who has that much money about building his $1 billion house? It's like,
how many acres it is, or I mean, because
it's like 20 plus acres, isn't it? Doesn't he has like 20 acres now of waterfront property in that particularly exclusive neighborhood.
That's a lot. That sounds like it would swamp Mar-a-Lago. I mean, Mar-a-Lago is big, but it's not 20 acres.
It's not 20 acres.
No.
But you imagine Trump must just be gnashing his teeth.
Well, how do you compete with that, though, even if you're Donald Trump, to compete with $1 billion mega match? And I'm telling you, though, it kills me. When I look at Trulia or some of the websites I look at for home buying, just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And you'll see a home that's, say, $4.5 million or whatever. And the mortgage is something like $45,000 to $50,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I try to imagine having a monthly nut in which you're writing a check to a bank every month for $45,000. And you have to be so liquid, have so much money, and not even think about it.
It's a rounding error. Yes. It's an incidental expense. Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, the other thing too, and I do the same thing on the weekends. I get we subscribe to the London Economic Times, Financial Times, and the real estate section is fascinating because there's a listing of international properties for sale. And there's currently a home in Los Angeles listed by, I think it's Sotheby's, for $59 million. And I look at that number and I think 59 million. I mean, it's got to have its own runway and hangar for your private jet on the property, everything, 59 million. And then Ken Griffin is going to build $1 billion house.
That $59 million one, if I'm correct, I think it's not even, I think it's on a hillside in Los Angeles.
It is.
I don't think there's a airplane runway, anything. I think it's just,
it's just a big house. Yeah, it's just a big house with a view.
Oh my God.
So for $1 billion, what will you build?
Our first, when we first bought our first home, it was $340,000, and I thought it was going to break me in half.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Can't imagine.
Yeah. All right. The story that I came to at last here was I couldn't believe this, and this is a true story. A woman. The headline was "Woman has to be rescued from outhouse toilet after dropping her Apple iWatch." So a woman ventured feet first into an outhouse toilet after she dropped her Apple Watch, and then she had to be rescued by first responders.
What was she going to do? Pick it up? Was she going to pick it up with her toes?
Yeah. So she narrows herself, gets through the hole of the toilet and down into it to try to find her iWatch.
Oh my God.
So the state police in her state issued a warning. They said, do not attempt to go inside the containment area. If you lose an item in an outhouse toilet, don't venture into the containment area. A serious injury may occur.
Yeah, just pull your pants up and leave.
Yeah, just get a new iWatch.
Yeah.
The drama was in Otsego County in northern Michigan. And then another story they referred to took place in Washington, where firefighters rescued a woman who fell into an outhouse toilet head first while trying to retrieve her cell phone. This was in People magazine, by the way.
Would you even want the cell phone? What was you thinking?
Honey, don't face dive into the outhouse toilet to get your phone. I'll just buy you a new one.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. The last thing today. This was in the New York Times, by the way. I don't think the New York Times magazine, but in the New York Times social section or something yesterday, Sunday. And it was Social Cues is the name of the column, written by a guy named Philip Goanis. And he says, and here's the headline was, "He's frisky, I'm weary." and this was a woman writing, it was like an advice column, like a Dear Abby. And she wrote, "I'm 55. My husband is 75, so 20-year difference.
Wow.
We've been married for 25 years. So when they got married, she was 30 and he was 45.
Yeah.
So he's retired and keeps himself busy while I'm at work. So she's still working. But she says lately, he waits for me every day with bated breath so we can have sex when I get home." And he complains, the 75-year-old is complaining to his 55-year-old wife that she can't keep up with him anymore. And she says, well, he doesn't consider that I work full time, I have a lengthy commute and still have to make dinner. And she says, I can't talk to my friends about this. It sounds too nuts. But the end of it was, is he suffering from early dementia? I love him, but he is wearing me out. Would I be better off without him? Thoughts?
Oh my God. Well, I'm shocked that that's her alternative.
Yeah.
Is maybe a conversation in between dumping him or leaving him.
Yeah.
Some sort of mediation, perhaps.
Yeah.
It
But
sounds
when
like
you tell a 75-year-old, you send him to the doctor and say, dude, lighten up. Your wife doesn't want to come home and have you chasing her around. Give it a break. I'll give credit to the guy. If he's 75 and he's that horny, if he's still able to perform like this, then God bless him.
You know, I'm 75 and I still appreciate the call of nature, but if I was her, I think I'd kind of be happy
Yeah.
instead of having to wheel him around with his oxygen bottle.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That goes back to our FOGO.
Yeah.
And it should have been one of the things that about older news. Good news is they're happier, healthier, mentally healthier old people, and in this guy's case, friskier.
Yeah. Yeah. Nowhere on the list was getting too too sexually interested again.
Yeah. All right. That will end on that note. It was always good to see you. This
Good to
will
see
be
you.
released on Wednesday night to get for all of you to be ready for the weekend in case you need to tell this story to your friends, because obviously it's important. And if you have any comments, questions, or you just want to tell us to go to hell, get in touch with us, email us, send video, do whatever you like. The address is below. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, Mike. Take care.
Take care.